Hey everyone, this is Joe from BitBang. This video is part of a bigger video series of the TKO. Its features, its functions, how to use it, what to expect, and things of that nature. But in this video, I'm going to concentrate on showing you what the app will do to let you know that there's an update either available for what I call the communication engine, which is the ESP32 on board, or the emulation engine, which is the STM32, the very small one that holds all the emulation for the controllers on board as well. That's outlined in the manual, but I'm going to just show you just in general what it looks like when it pokes you. So here's the stick. It's powered up. There's the tablet or your phone with the app ready to go. So when I first press the app, just kind of get your view on this section here. You're gonna see it scanning for updates. So I'm gonna press that real quick. So take a look here. You'll see checking app, checking comms engine, checking emulation engine. Checking the app means that if you're connected to the internet, and you have to be to get this notification, you don't need to be on the internet to make the app work, to configure, but if you wanna see if you need updates, it has to be on the internet or it won't do anything. So checking app means that it's going to the internet, to our database, and checking to see that if we pushed an app version that's ahead of yours. Checking the comms engine means that it's checking to see if the ESP32 has new code for features like in magicians or antagonists or RGB LEDs, everything basically except for protocols, right? That's going to be the comms engine. And the emulation engine, when checking that, it's checking to see if the firmware that you have for that is also behind something else that we would have pushed up. So for example, let's say you have X input, all these base consoles have been showing these videos, but then I added something for something else. Let's say I added like a retro port code for GameCube, right? And I have this whole thing figured out. It'll say, hey, you're out of date, and go update, and that's it. So usually when it does this, and we're gonna try to connect now, it does it one time, okay? Only one time when it will open it up. And the reason for that is when it opens it up and goes to the internet and it fetches that data for versions, it saves it in this app that we don't have much control over that backend, but the app, it goes on there and it's called caching. It just means that the data, it's been retrieved before and it's gonna assume that it hasn't changed. It's not great, but it helps a lot with speed performance for a lot of web pages. Your browser does the same thing. They all do it. And if you're an HTML programmer, you definitely know what I'm talking about. So right now, if you look in this section, there's nothing here, right? This spot is reserved for notifications for that kind of updating. And you'll see what I mean in a second. So if you disconnect, right, and let's say I push an update while you're using the app right now, and you disconnect and you reconnect, you're not gonna see anything. Again, it checks it one time when you first open the app, which is okay. It's not a big deal, right? It's not gonna make or break anything. But the next time you go into your app, fresh, meaning you go here, right? And you go ahead and you clear it, you close it, you basically force it to stop. And then I push an update in the middle of that and you go back into it, then you're gonna see something. So I'm gonna real quick go ahead to our database and pretend to push something that's ahead of the app version, that's ahead of the emulation engine and the comms engine. So one sec. Okay, so I went ahead to our database and I pretended to push an app version that's ahead of this app version, and firmwares for the comms and the emulation that's ahead of these, right? So for context, everything here is version 1.0. I just said 1.1 is a new version. So we're gonna go ahead, again, you gotta close the app, reopen it, because it's a one-time thing, which is not a big deal. It's just the way that technology works. Okay, it's checking now, it's pulling information again. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and scan. And you'll see that when we get into the menu, you're gonna see these little buttons here, and they're gonna be flashing. and I didn't mean to make them annoying. I don't think they're annoying. I think they're just more to catch your eye just to show you that you should be doing something to update it. Because I really don't want you to miss any kind of features. In the past, with magicians and antagonists, there's been problems with people's setups, and they were really just 2 versions behind. There was no problem. It's just that they were just, their manual they were reading was ahead of what their firmware was, right? So we're gonna enter, and it's loading. But now you'll see, maybe it's hard to see in this picture, and what I'll do is I'll just very quickly bring it up to the camera. You'll see that there's comms engine firmware, emulation engine firmware, and the update app. And the way this works is when you press update app, it's gonna go ahead and take you to your app store. So whether you're iOS or the Play Store, Android or Apple, it's gonna take you to whatever your app store is. So you don't gotta figure it out. It's also gonna take you to whatever region you're in. So if you're in Italy or US, again, don't gotta worry about it. It's gonna take you exactly where you gotta go. This is not on the App Store yet. So if I were to press this button, it's gonna take me to the Magicians app itself because I had to put a placeholder to make this work. I'm gonna press it just to show you. Again, it's gonna show Magicians, not TKO, because it's not on the App Store quite yet. So we're gonna press update app. Okay. So this is an Android, right? It's gonna take you to Magicians SSD Cleaner, and had this been TKO, instead of say install, it would say update, right? It would sense that your app version is out of date. Same thing for Apple, okay? So there's that. And let's go back to the app. Now for these two, right? For updating the comms engine firmware and the emulation engine firmware, the firmware process, it's documented for other products, not for the TKO quite yet. It's a little weird, and we're trying to improve this. It's still very manageable to do. It's not that complicated. People have done it before, so rest assured that if you're not comfortable with this kind of stuff, it's not that bad. It's not that bad at all. So long as you got a PC available, you'll be fine. And what will happen is when I press this, it's either going to take you to a link showing you how to do it, but preferably I like to press this and it'll take you to a video, preferably on this playlist, so that you could find it and just follow me through the steps on how to download the software you need on your PC to update either the emulation engine or the communication engine. Again, this is documented, people have done it before. It's not that bad, but I still want to improve on it. But there's still a mechanism for you to do it. Even if I do have an improved version, I still want to have this method as a backup because that's just the way we work. We always try to make multiple ways of access to make sure that you're not stuck in the dark. I've had one person one time get stuck at a tournament. They just didn't flash it, and I helped them through it, and it was fine in the end. So it definitely works in a pinch. If we go into device info tab, which is related to this whole versioning, if you're ever curious what version you're on, it's here, right? So if you come to our Discord server or shoot me an email and you say, hey, am I on the right version? I would just tell you, here you go, this is what it is. And we can easily compare notes. The hardware version is just the rev of the board. So that's this board here, I have a rev here. It just tells me what hardware you're running on. And the model number is TKO, of course, but I still put it there just to make sure that I'm looking at the right menu in case someone cuts off this banner and I'm not too sure what I'm looking at. This is also the spot where you can open the manual to solve all your problems. If you have any of them at all, it's going to be in here. If it's not in the videos, it's going to be in there. If it's not in there, it's in these videos. So there's always a way to get more information. If I press this, it's going to take me to the Magician's Manual. Again, that's because the TKO manual is not made yet. It will be. I'm going to just demonstrate that. If you press that, it's going to open up the PDF manual. Take some time. Well, in this case, it's a resource tab. We will be linking the manual instead. But again, it's the same idea. You can go through here and you can find what you need to find. So you're not ever hung in the dark there. So if you just don't know where to go, just your app will pretty much tell you everything. It's the hub of all communication and troubleshooting and everything. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, the process to update will be documented in the manual in the future and in a video. This was more to just demonstrate what it looks like when the app pokes you to make an update. Hope that made sense. Hope that was useful. and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.